we're going to start a new topic today. We've finished probability and I've sent you the student evaluation, so if you could complete that on Google Classroom. Now, equations, you've done that in Year 8 and Year 9, and our first lesson today will be basically going over Year 8 and Year 9 level equations. So what I'd like you to do is to get your books out. I want you to write down the heading and copy down everything that I do on the board here. Now, you can pause the video anytime you want and try the questions. You don't have to wait for me to do them, but I'm going to go through each one of these now, and then I'll set you the work to do. So let's have a look at the first one here. We've got to solve this equation. Now we've got to get the m by itself, remember? So we've got to get this pronumeral all by itself. We have to get rid of the minus 6, and also we have to get rid of the times 3. There's a times there between the 3 and the m. Now, normally when you solve an equation, you look for terms which are on their own to eliminate. Now this negative 6 is all by itself, and to get rid of negative 6, we add 6 to both sides. Alright, that gives me 3m equals 19. 13 plus 6 is 19, minus 6 plus 6 is nothing, and the 3m is still there. Now remember, there's a times sign between there. Now to get rid of that 3, it's actually a times 3. You've got to do the opposite to timesing 3. You've got to divide 3 both sides. Cancel the 3's, and your answer is m equals 19 over 3. Now you can leave it like that, or you could write it as a mixed numeral, 6 and 1/3, or you could write it as a decimal, but you must put a dot above the 3 because the 3 is repeating. Now I would warn you not to do the decimal answer, because people tend to forget to put the dot above the 3 if it's repeating. You're best leaving your answer like this or like this, okay? Because if you wrote 6.3, that's actually not the correct answer. It's 6.3 repeater. So it's better to leave it as a fraction if you can. Okay, copy all of that down into your book. That is a kind of equation you did from Year 8. Now, what about this one? Same sort of thing. We've got to get the k by itself, which means you have to get rid of that 6 there, right? So you have to get rid of the positive 6, and you have to get rid of this, the minus 5. But really that is not just a minus 5, it's a times minus 5, okay? So you have to get rid of a times minus 5. If you get rid of the times minus 5 and the positive 6, the k will be all by itself, and you get the value of k that works for this equation. Now, how do you know which one to get rid of, the 6 or the minus 5? Well, the 6 is all by itself, so you get rid of that one first. The opposite of 6 is minus 6. So minus 6 to both sides. Remember, you do both the same thing to both sides of the equation. Then you get minus 5k is equal to 4. Okay, 6 minus 6 is nothing, 10 minus 6 is 4. Now to get rid of that minus 5, it's really a times in between there as well. So you have to get rid of times minus 5. Now the opposite of times minus 5 is divide by minus 5. So divide both sides by minus 5. There we go. And you get k equals 4. Now 4 over minus 5 is fine, or you could write it as minus 4 over 5. Doesn't matter where the minus sign goes, as long as you put it somewhere. Okay. Now you could write that as a decimal. You could write down minus 0.8, but again, leave it as a fraction. That's all you have to do. All right. Copy all of that down into your books, both questions, and we'll look at question number 3 now. Now, question number 3, you've got pronumerals on both sides of the equation here, and what we do is we look at both those terms, and we want to eliminate one of those pronumeral terms so that we only have one pronumeral term left. So which one you choose is up to you, but obviously there's a better choice to make. If we get rid of this, right, we have x on one side and we have a number on the other, and that's exactly what you want. So we're going to get rid of the minus 2x first. So we're going to add 2x to both sides, and that will give you 5 equals 5x. 3x plus 2x is 5x. Negative 2x plus 2x is nothing. Okay, now remember, you want to get rid of that times 5 there because you want to get the x by itself. So divide by 5, cancel the 5's, and you get x equals 1. You can of course write it like that if you want to write the x on the left hand side. So some of your answers will be whole numbers, some of them won't be whole numbers, but that's okay. Now question number 4 is similar to this one because you have pronumerals on both sides. Now notice I've circled them like I did here. You've got to eliminate one of these pronumeral terms first. So when you get an equation with pronumerals on both sides of the equation, choose one of those pronumeral terms to eliminate. Now, when you do your elimination, it's your choice, but try and make a choice which makes it easier for you. If I get rid of this one first, the advantage is I get a positive pronumeral term. So this would be 2m plus 10 equals, and then there's negative 6 there. 7m minus 7m is nothing, and the negative 6 is still there. Now, that's a good choice. Now, what about choosing to eliminate the 9m? You could do that. So, minus 9m minus 9m. Right? Make sure you line up the pronumeral terms when you do the subtraction. Now, 9m minus 9m is nothing. The 10 is still there. You could put the positive 10, but you don't need to because 10 is a positive number. 7m minus 9m is minus 2m, and then you've got the minus 6. You can see we've got a negative pronumeral term, which is okay, but just makes it a little bit harder. So my advice is to eliminate the pronumeral term, which gives you a positive result. So that means I'm going to go back and just get rid of the 7m. Okay, so that gives me 2m plus 10 equals 7m minus 7m is nothing, and I've got the negative 6 there. Now you've got to get rid of the m term there, so let's have a look. I could get rid of this, or I could get rid of the times 2. But remember, when I'm choosing what to get rid of, I eliminate the term by itself first. The positive 10 is all by itself. So minus 10, make sure you line your numbers up. And then you have 2m equals, now 10 minus 10 is nothing. Minus 6 take 10 is minus 16. Alright, now, last step. Alright, I've got a times 2 there. To get rid of times 2, I do the opposite. Divide by 2, divide by 2, cancel. And you're left with m equals minus 8. That's your final answer. Okay, make sure you copy all of this down into your books. You might want to copy that down, watch the video again, try the questions by yourself, it's up to you. But just as a minimum, copy those down into your book so you've got a record of what to do. Now we'll look at some other questions over here now. So this will be question number 5. So question number 5. So look, number 5. And yes, let's do one with brackets. So we've got 5 brackets p plus 6 equals 3p plus 5. Okay, so how would we solve this equation? Well, the first thing I would do is expand those brackets. Okay, so 5 times p is 5p, 5 times 6 is positive 30, equals 3p plus 5. Now, just like the previous 2 examples, you now have pronumeral terms on both sides of the equation. You want to eliminate one of those terms first. Choose the one which will give you a positive result. See if you can figure out which one. Which one will you do? Which one? I'm going to choose this one. So minus 3p minus 3p. That gives you 2p plus 30 equals 5. Okay? Now, minus 30, minus 30. 2p is equal to minus 25. Now, final step. Now, there's the 2 there next to the p. Don't forget that's a times 2 there. You want to do the opposite to that, which is divide. So divide by 2, divide by 2, cancel, cancel. Now, you could leave it like that, or you can say this is the same as minus 12 and a half. Okay? So, minus 12 and a half, or minus 25 over 2. That's all fine. Or, if you really love decimals, you could write it as minus 12.5. Alright? So copy that down into your books. And I think I've got one more question for you. Yes. Okay, try this one. Play the video for any question you want. Let's have a look at the last example. Okay, so example number 6. Alright, so we've got 4y plus 1 plus 3y minus 5 equals 8. Okay, so for this question we've got 2 brackets. We're going to expand the brackets first. So let's have a look. Equals 4 times y. Actually, don't do the equals. Just 1, put it there for instead. Therefore, 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 times y, 3y, and positive 3 times negative 5 is negative 15 equals 8. Right, so you've expanded both brackets. Next step there is to try and make your working out easier. So if you notice we've got some like terms here, 4y and positive 3y. So adding those together I get 7y, and I've got positive 4 minus 15, which is minus 11. Okay, so I've simplified the left-hand side of the equation. Now this is quite straightforward. So add 11 to both sides. Then 7y is equal to 19. And then last of all, don't forget this is a times 7, so you're not going to subtract 7, you're going to do the opposite to times 7. You will divide by 7, alright? Cancel, cancel. So that means y is equal to 19 over 7, or if you want to write it as a mixed numeral, 2 and 5/7. Alright, don't write it as a decimal, write it as a fraction. Okay, now for the work that I want you to do. Alright, now at home, I want you to do 601. I want you to do every second problem. So let's have a look. We've got questions 1 to 8. Question 1 to 8, ESP. Alright, so what does that mean? It means you do 1 ACE every second one. 2 is just multiple choice. So is 3 for that matter. 4 ACE, 5 is multiple choice. 6 is ACE, etc. Alright, so ESP, as you know, it means every second problem. Alright, make sure you mark your work. I'll be posting the textbook chapter on Google Classroom in case you left your textbook at home. Okay, that's it for today, and we'll see you next lesson.